Hi, 8th graders, and welcome to the Skill of the Week. I am Miss Kane, and I am here with this week's skill, which is integers. So in today's lesson and skill, we are going to be reviewing how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide integers. So let's get started. So I am just going to do the multiplication and the division rules first, which I'm sure you remember, so this is probably a review. When you're multiplying and dividing, when you have the same sign, so a positive and a positive and a negative, your answer is always going to be positive. So if I'm doing a positive number divided by a positive number, it is going to be positive. A negative number by a negative number, it is going to be positive. So remember, same sign, it's positive. When your signs are different, it's going to be negative. So for example, if I have, a negative divided by a positive, it's going to be negative. So I just wrote this down. It's the same rules for obviously multiplication and division. So a positive multiplied by a positive is a positive, and negative multiplied by a positive would be negative because the signs are different. And then a negative multiplied by a negative is a positive multiplied by a negative is a negative. So I have some examples that I just want to do. So I have negative 16 divided by 4. So I see that my signs are different. So I divide first. So I know 16 divided by 4 is 4. And then I go back and I look at my sign. So I have a negative and a positive. So my signs are different. So it's going to be negative. I have negative 32 divided by negative 8. So I know 32 divided by 8 is 4. And I have a negative and a negative. My signs are the same, so it's going to be a positive answer. 81 divided by negative 9. So I know 81 divided by 9 is 9. And my signs are different, so my answer is going to be negative. Over here, I have negative 3 times negative 7. So I know 3 times 7 is 21. My signs are different, so it's going to be negative. Negative 12 divided by, negative 12 times negative 6. So I'm going to multiply. I know 12 times 6 is 72. And my signs are the same, so my answer is going to be positive. And then 8 times negative 7. I know 8 times 7 is 56. And since my signs are different, it's going to be negative. So just to review, when you're multiplying and dividing, if you have the same sign, it's positive. If you have different signs, it's negative. Okay, so next we have adding integers. So when you're adding a positive plus a positive, which is just, regular math, what we've learned our whole lives, adding positives. So positive plus a positive, you add and your answer is going to be positive. When you're adding negatives, you just add your two numbers and your answer is going to be negative. So you're doing your regular adding and then ignore the signs and your answer is going to be negative. When you're adding different signs, so a positive and a negative and a positive. This is where it gets kind of funky. So you subtract the absolute values and you keep the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. So I just want to go over this just so you can see it. So if I have negative 9 plus negative 6, so my signs are the same. Okay, I have two negatives. So I'm just going to add. So I know 9 plus 6 is 15, and it's going to stay negative. 9 plus 6 is just, my regular 9 plus 6. So I'm adding, the signs are the same, so I'm going to add, and it's going to be positive. So this is, this rule right here that we just went over. So I have negative 9 plus 6. So what you do, and I'm going to follow this rule, you subtract the absolute value. So, the absolute value of negative 9 is 9. The absolute value of 6 is 6. So you subtract absolute value. So the difference between 9 and 6 is 3. Okay? And you keep the sign of the number with a larger absolute value. Since negative 9 is a larger absolute value than 6, and negative 9 is obviously negative, my answer is going to be negative. If I have 9 plus negative 6, again, I'm going to subtract my absolute values. I know that the difference between 9 and 6 is 3. And since 9 is positive and that has a larger absolute value, it's going to be positive. So my answer is just going to be 3. Okay, so just to review, when you're adding positives, you just add and it stays positive. When you're adding negatives, you just add your numbers and your answer is going to be negative. And when your signs are different, when you're adding, you subtract absolute values and you keep the sign of the number that has the larger absolute value. Okay, next up is subtracting integers, okay? So when you subtract a positive minus a positive, so just regular math that we've been doing our whole lives, you're just subtracting a positive minus a positive, you're going to subtract, and your answer is going to be, ignore me. Your answer is positive. Sorry about that. think I thought I did this one first. So when you're doing a positive minus a positive, subtract, and your answer is going to be positive. When you do a negative minus a negative, you're going to find the difference, so you're going to subtract, and your answer is going to be negative. It's very similar to the rules that we just did with addition. When you are subtracting a positive and a negative, or a negative and a positive, you need to change your subtraction sign to an addition sign. And you are going to change the sign of the second number and follow the addition rules. So I am just going to go over this over here because this is a little tricky. So if I have negative 10 minus negative 5, what I am going to do is I'm going to change my subtraction sign to an addition sign. And I'm going to, since this is a negative 5, I need to make it a positive 5. So I have negative 10 plus positive 5. So I'm going to follow my addition rule. So since this has a larger absolute value, I'm going to leave it negative. And then I'm going to subtract because my signs are different, and I'm going to get negative 5. Okay, 10 minus 5, I just know 10 minus 5 is going to give me 5. But I can still use, this rule right here applies to everything. So even if I made this a plus and change this to negative, 10 plus a negative 5 is still going to give me 5. If I have negative 10 minus 5, I'm going to switch my subtraction sign to an addition sign. I'm going to change, this is my second number, I'm going to change the sign so it's positive, so I'm going to make it negative. And then I'm going to follow my rules. Negative 10 plus negative 5 is going to be negative 15. And now my last one over here, if I have 10 minus negative 5, I'm going to change my subtraction to an addition. I'm going to change the sign of my second number to a positive. So it would just be 10 plus 5, which is going to give me 15. I'm just going to do a few more over here because I know that the subtraction rules are sometimes tricky. So if I have negative 8 minus 3, I'm going to make my subtraction sign an addition sign. This is a positive 3, so I'm going to make it a negative 3, and then I'm going to follow my addition rules. So negative 8 plus a negative 3 is going to give me a negative 11. I have negative 2 minus 9, so I'm going to make my subtraction sign into an addition sign. This is positive, so I'm going to make it negative. So negative 2 plus negative 9 is going to give me, another negative 11. And now my one right here, I have 15 minus negative 3. So I'm going to make my subtraction sign into an addition sign. This is a negative 3, so I'm going to make it into a positive 3. So 15 plus 3 is just going to give me 18. So right now we are going to practice some. I'm going to do the first ones with you over here, and then the ones on the right I'm going to have you do by yourself, and then we will go over them. So I'm starting off with division. So remember my rules for division. If I have negative 6 divided by 3, I'm going to do 6 divided by 3, which I know is 2. My signs are different. I know when my signs are different, then it's going to be negative. I have negative 20 divided by negative 4. So I know 20 divided by 4 is 5. My signs are the same, so it's going to be a positive 5. Next, I have 6 times negative 7. So I know 6 times 7 is 42. My signs are different in multiplication, so it's going to be a negative 42. Negative 5 times negative 9. So 5 times 9 I know is 45. My signs are the same, so it's going to be positive 45. 10 plus 6, this is just my normal, it's adding 10 plus 6, and it's going to be 16. Okay, so now these ones are addition and subtraction. So remember, I have a negative 1 plus negative 7. So when I'm adding, my signs are the same. I'm just going to add. 1 plus 7 is going to be 8, and I'm going to leave it as a negative 8. Negative 2 plus 8. So my signs are different. So I'm going to subtract my absolute values. I need to find what is the difference between an 8 and a 2, which I know is 6. 8 has a larger absolute value. So since it's positive, my answer is going to be a positive 6. Next, I have 3 plus negative 9. My signs are different. So I need to find the difference between 9 and 3, which is 6. And since 9 has a larger absolute value and it's negative, my answer will be negative. Okay, so now I have my subtraction. So remember, 4 minus negative 10, I'm going to switch my subtraction sign to an addition sign. My second number is negative, so I'm going to make it positive, and then I'm going to follow my addition rule. So this would just be 4 plus 10, which is going to give me 14. Negative 5 minus 5. Okay, so negative 5 minus 5, so I'm going to make this an addition sign. This is positive, so I'm going to make it negative. So -5 plus a -5 is going to give me a -10. And then 6 minus -9, I'm going to make this into an addition sign. This is negative, so I'm going to make it positive, and it's just going to follow addition rules. 6 plus 9, which is going to give me 15. All right, so if you can look at all these problems, if you hit pause right now, I want you to do, I think there's 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11 problems. I want you to hit pause right now, and then you're going to come back, and I will go over these with you. All right, welcome back. So I'm going to go over these. I hope you pause this and you have your answers, and I will check mine versus yours. Okay, so my first one is multiplication. So I have a negative times a positive. So I'm going to multiply first. 1 times 8, which I know is 8. My signs are different, so it's going to be a negative. Negative 12 divided by 3. Okay, so I know 12 divided by 3 is 4. My signs are different, so it is going to be a -4. 2 times 15, this is just a normal 2 positive, so 2 times 15 I know is 30. Since my numbers are the same, they're both positive, my answer will be positive. -11 divided by -1, so I know 11 divided by 1 is 11. My signs are the same, they're both negative, so that means my answer would be positive. Okay, so now we're going into addition and subtraction. So -3 plus 2, my signs are different, so I'm going to subtract absolute values. 3 minus 2 would be 1. Since 3 has a higher absolute value and it's negative, it's going to be a -1. 0 minus -9, so I'm going to make this plus because it's subtraction, and I'm going to change this to a plus, positive. So 0 plus 9 is just going to give me 9. 10 plus, -10 plus 1. So my signs are different, so I'm going to find the difference between absolute values. So the difference between 10 and 1 is 9. And since 10 has a larger absolute value and it's negative, it will be -9. All right, so now I have a subtraction. So -4 minus -7. So remember, I'm going to make my subtraction sign into an addition sign. This is negative, so I'm just going to go like this and make it into positive. So it would be -4 plus 7. So now I'm following my addition rules to find the difference because my signs are different between 7 and 4, which is 3. Since my 7 is now positive, my answer is going to be a positive 3. Next, I have 9 plus -16. So I'm adding. I see my signs are different, so I have to find the difference in absolute values, which is 7. And since -16 has a larger absolute value, it will be a -7. Over here, -5 minus 4. So remember, I'm going to change my sign. I'm going to make this an addition sign, and I'm going to make this negative. Now I have -5 plus -4, which is going to give me a -9. Over here, 7 plus a -7. So my signs are different, so I'm just going to subtract 7 minus 7, which is going to give me 0. So that is it for today. I hope this was helpful for you. Go back, watch it a few times. Make sure you know your rules. Those are so important for 8th grade, high school, and everything. I assigned some IXLs for you that are mandatory for 8th grade this summer. So good luck, and I'll see you soon. Bye.